So yeah, hi, I'm Ria. Like the blue eyebrows are very typical for me. Um, and I thought that I will start talking a little bit of where it came from, but I will just talk about it briefly and then like focus on what is alive in me those days. I chose it to do it the way STD did because I think that's more interesting than just saying like, okay, this is what I'm doing. I'm a poor artist. I'm so poor. My life sucks, and I need to express it through music. Um, but yeah, that's where it started. Like of course we all know like the difficult childhood and everything. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, songwriting has been my coping mechanism for sure. Like in my teenage years, I was oh, I should not do this. In my teenage years, I was like super getting into songwriting as like an addition to, I don't know, coping with my struggles that I had growing up. Um, and for me, it was like one of the only spaces for vulnerability because I'm a person like for a long time I suppressed so many emotions. Like I still do. I think we all do sometimes, or I would think so. But yeah, for me, like expressing into songs, that was really like the way to go. Um, and for sure, also one of my motivations that kept my music alive. Um, and it also turned out like to be like right now I'm seeing like either I write into my diary like just how I feel, or I'm writing songs like, but it's always balancing. Like when I'm writing more songs, I write less diary, and the other way around as well. Um, and also what I find so interesting, like I'm really like I love to be in nature. And usually like I take like 3 weeks off every year, like to get in the mountains, just me, myself, and nothing else, basically. And my guitar, of course. And people would assume that I'm writing like lots of songs there, but no, there's no inspiration for some reason. Like my approach to music is really like what sucks. And what sucks is also our world. I have to say, unfortunately, not for all of us, but for many of us human beings. For all of us in the end, it's true. And for some more. Um, and yeah, I think this is what keeps me going, really. Like, it's not what started it. What started it was my like lack of expression, but what keeps me going is our fucking world. Um, and I think another thing that really supported it, like in the way of growing my music making, was my ego as well. Because I do feel like we don't talk about it, and I know that we have like a psychologist today in the crowd. So I'm not so sure if I used the term of ego correctly here. But what it means to me, like I was thinking like, okay, this is something that's bothering me a lot those days. Like I wrote a whole song about it. It's just like a lot inside me. And then when I was making the presentation, I was thinking, fuck, okay, I wrote inside the text that I sent to you, like I will talk about my ego, so I really have to do this, and I have to make myself vulnerable. And then when I was like sitting in front of this presentation, I was thinking, but it's not only negative. And it's true, it's not only negative, because I feel like it really brought me into making music. Like I felt like I needed to have something that gave me acknowledgement, like recognition. And music for me, that was a way. And that is, of course, negative because I should have been able to find it inside me, of course. But it also brought me to make music, and that's I'm super grateful for that. And it also helped me, I guess, to be a stage person, like what people call a stage person. Like I don't have a difficult time before I get on a stage, and I'm really thankful for that. I do have a little bit of more of a difficult time the less I'm suppressing. Like I do feel like some n- anxious anxiety before getting on stage those days, but still like I feel quite fine being in front of you all here. Um, yeah, but on the other side, and that's of course like many things have different sides. and it helped me from a lot. And one thing what I really noticed in my music making, I started going on jam sessions a while ago, like quite a lot of jam sessions, and at some point someone just told me like, "Hey, Ria, why don't you just listen for one time and like not feel the urge to sing all the time and like show what you can do with your voice?" And I was like, okay, but it's fucking true. Like, listening to others is incredibly important if you're doing what you're doing. Like, if you're making music, that's really like that was such an important thing for me to understand, I guess. And it also kept me for a long time, still does sometimes, but I'm feeling like it's getting less and less. But it kept me from connecting truly, like not only being here and saying like, "Hi, how are you?" but being like, "Hi, I'm here. What about you?" Um, and also, I don't know, I always felt like the music that I'm making, it's made for a band. But I never happened to be in a band. Um, and now it happened. And I'm so grateful for that. Like, I love those people so much. It's incredible. They are great people. They are wonderful people. And yeah, it's beautiful to be able to connect to people while making music, but also like sharing your music and connecting to people who are listening. Like, that's what it's all about in the end, I guess, for me. Um, and I think to some point it also kept me from being very true in my lyrics. And I think I could imagine that some people would argue with me about that, because I often get the feedback that, wow, like the lyrics that you're writing are very true and like very direct and honest. And I do think they are, but also to some point, not. Like, there's always a scale, I guess. And I think it could be even more true. Um, like, one thing is my mother tongue is German, but still I'm writing in English most of the times, because it's some kind of it keeps some distance. Like, I get the feeling of it's not too direct, and I don't have to be all out there. Um, and I've talked to many people about it, and they all confirmed to me, or like many confirmed that it was the same thing for them. Yeah. Um, but yeah, the thing that really keeps me alive those days, when it comes to making music and like making it with all my time and with all my energy, uh, is the fact that I'm seeing it as my kind of activism. Like, where I come from, in my youth, I used to do a little bit of activism. And I think that really formed me in that way. And right now, I'm in a phase of my life where I can do it full in. I don't have to worry about the financial part of it. Um, and I can really justify it for myself as like I'm making it as my kind of micro or not so micro activism. Um, but it's also incredibly hard to do that in a business world. Like, there are so many questions and conflicts that are coming up there. And now, like, first of all, the question, like, why to do it in a business way? Like, I didn't want to do it all the time in a business way, but I guess if you really would want to have an impact, and like, we have to ask ourselves what is like, or I have to ask myself, and I did ask myself, what is my goal with my music? And I wanted to get out of the bubble. That was always my thing. Like, I don't want to tell people like, hey, violence against women or sexualized violence, whatever, for example, is not okay. To people who already know that and who already fight against it every day. But it has to reach the people. Like, the goal of my music is basically to sprinkle some thoughts into a bubble that has not thought those thoughts before, and that is open for those thoughts, but that might have just not made those experiences. Um, and yeah, therefore, it's incredibly important to reach those people. And I guess in order to reach people, you have to make yourself interesting for the market. As stupid as it sounds, I don't know, maybe some of you are more familiar to this kind of phrasing, some less. For me, it's still weird to say it and to phrase it like that. But it's important, I guess. Um, Yeah. And the question of how to promote it. Like, I'm always wondering, like, okay, how much should I go into the direction of, okay, I'm making the music to change that? Or how much should I frame it as, like, hey, I'm making music. It's, very neutral. It's like about my emotion. um, and for me, actually, those are not two separate things. Because in the end, my kind of activism those days is not saying, like, usually, like, you will not find fuck patriarchy in my lyrics, for example. But you will rather find, I think I would have to go through it, but I think there's almost never some kind of ideological or theoretical word in there, because I tend to, like, for me right now it's really important to focus on what is lying under beneath it, like on the emotion that we're suppressing or that we are having a lot, and therefore it's forming our society that way, that those problems occur. And like kind of drawing a line from, like, okay, that's me and that's my problem, to that's how it is in our living together, basically. Like, that's my goal those days. And finding the balance in between those two things, but also in between, like, creating our music as a product, and also keeping it real to myself. Like, it's this kind of balance. Yeah, and on this occasion, I would like to play a tiny bit of a song of mine, of ours, um, which is not released yet. It's part of the EP that will come out soon-ish. And I will just quickly introduce what the song is about. It is called Robot, and it will be about emotion and suppressing it and not suppressing it anymore. Thank you. And this I created with the band. Yes, those wonderful people. Um, this picture just was taken recently at our last gig, which was also our first real gig at a closed venue with entry and everything, like very official. Um, and yeah, they are wonderful people, and this kind of project is just starting. We started releasing like this year in February, and that's what the music is all about that we're doing, basically.